So, would you believe it? It's actually nearly 7 years. If you can believe it, it's now nearly 7 years since the Line 6 Helix came out, and since that they've obviously brought out other Helix devices, the HX Effects, the HX Stomp, the HX Stomp XL, the Podgo, which is sort of like an offshoot of the Helix as well, right? And they've also brought out the Tribute, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex, which took the Helix interface, didn't it, and it made it touchscreen. But aside from that, they didn't bother to make any changes, which is cool. But 7 years on, the Helix, I think, is still, for me, the quickest thing and most satisfying thing that I find to actually build gigging presets on. I've got a gig coming up tomorrow evening where I needed to have a few kind of things at my feet. It's like a bar gig and there's no keys player, so I needed to set up something that could do some kind of pads, that could do a few different bits and pieces. And so for me, the Helix, I thought, right, let's do that, because if I use an HX Stomp and an HX Effects, then it takes up about the same floor print with an expression pedal as well. So I'll just take the Helix and I can program things super quickly. So I'll just show you that process. But 7 years on, I still think with the capacitive foot switch touching and all that stuff, actually building presets on the Helix is still easier than any other device, I think. Right, so typically I don't take the Helix on things like pub or bar gigs, but I've got one tomorrow evening, and what I wanted to do was consider what I might do with this. So the other option would be to take the HX Stomp and the HX Effects, but by the time I put those next to each other with an expression pedal on the floor, I figure it's going to be something that looks more or less the same kind of footprint as the Helix anyway. So I thought, well, let's take the Helix and see how we get on. So I'm going to be using this Dark Vox preset. And what I've got going on here, I've got a delay here. I've also got a drive switch. Which I'll kick on for like solos, and I've got a treble switch in case things are too dark. So I've actually already started doing this job. The cool thing about the Helix is you've got access to like 2 sets of buttons, so I'm not going to be using snapshots, I think, so my main view will be this. So I've started this job already, and what I figured was that because there's no keyboard player in this band, I'm going to be doing this sort of thing. So I've programmed a freeze onto the expression pedal. So that's kind of useful. So I'm going to just save this as it is actually to start with. So what I've done, if you go back here, you see I had this all on the one, so this could work on HX Stomp or Podgo. The process to get it to where it is currently is to set this to output path 2A, so you've got the 2 processors, and then I copy this block here, paste this block, and then clear this block, and likewise copy block, paste block, clear block, put you back on manual focus, apologies, and then assign to this pedal, and then move this across to here, and then my freeze portion of the preset is something like this. So we go into the legacy section and auto volume echo, bring this down onto the second path, and then also a dual delay, bring this down onto the second path also, and then a volume pedal, and this we want assigned to the expression pedal 2, but we want to reverse min and max. So basically, as we bring the pedal down, we cut out our dry signal, and then the other thing that we want to do is assign all of these things. So feedback, likewise to expression pedal 2, right feedback, expression pedal 2, 10% and 100%, right mix, and same thing I think, about 10% and 100%, left mix, right feedback, expression pedal 2, 10 and 100, left feedback. Okay, and then what you get is this kind of thing where so basically now I can be my own kind of synth player, which is useful for this kind of gig. So that's more or less what we got going on here. I've also got a glitch delay in there, so that's so that should be useful. The other thing that I thought was, what about some other kind of textural things? So I think I've got space here to do this. So I'm going to put mono simple pitch here, assign this to this pedal down here. As I said, I don't think I'm going to be using snapshot mode. I think snapshot mode works really well if you've got like a fairly rehearsed kind of not so experimental set, but that's not the case for me with this particular gig. Then I'm going to control the interval with this foot switch here, which I think is about foot switch 7, 8, and the minimum value I'll have as 7, no actually 12, and then the max at 7. So by default it will be an octave and then a fifth. So if we press this, that's what I want, and I think I want the mix maybe around 30%. Let's see how that sounds. So if we bring that in, nice. Now the other kind of thing that I think works really well for the kind of gig that I'm on is a phaser. So I'm hoping that I can fit a phaser in here as well, which I can. So if we go script mod phase, and I don't know exactly, should you put a phaser before the drive or not? I'll put it after the drive, and that can be down here. Okay, leave it off. So now I could have a phaser for so that's decent. I might even take that plate down a little bit in terms of volume. And the other thing that I'm thinking is that I really like that core tone, but I might even want an even lower gain option. And for that, what I'm thinking I might do is assign channel volume down here. So we're going to bring the channel volume up. So it's at the moment at 6.7. So channel volume down here, minimum value 6.7, maximum value like 9, and also I'm going to control the master volume, which is at 10 at the moment. So the minimum value be 10, maximum value, if we bring it down to 7.5, maybe that will clean things up, kind of. Is that working? No, I think we could go even cleaner. So where are you at? How do I get this? Go back to here. Maximum value, take that up to 10, and master, bring that down to 6. Maybe that will clean up a bit. Cool, so then that gets rid of the grit for when I need it to be kind of super clean. So I do have a real clean tone now. So if can I change the name of that? Customize, and we'll call this clean, so that we've got an option to get things really clean. This is not a way that I would typically do things. You may or may not know that I'm normally a bit of more of a snapshot person, but using these to kind of switch different features is a thing that I think is fairly cool. So we could have this cleaner setting, but also still the drive boost. And still the treble boost as well if we want. But we still can have the kind of dirty stuff if we want. But aside from that, I can't really think of too much else that I might be wanting on the gig. Maybe some kind of modulation tones in terms of like an organ style thing. So stereo, because it's after the cab, and the rotary thing kind of works well for this. And if I assign this to this switch down here, that gives me another texture. But let me know your thoughts on whether that would work for you for like a bar style gig. We've got a few different kind of gain stages. As I've got this deranged master here. I might swap that out for something like an SD1 instead. If I need to get screaming, I can with these different gain stages. I think that might work. I'll try and get some footage of the gig and report back. Hopefully that'll be cool. Let me know in the comments if you want me to drop this into the folder. The way that I'm going to monitor this on stage, by the way, I think is just chuck it into the return of a tube amp, because that seems to give me kind of all the good things that I wanted from the power cab, and none of the faff, none of the real, you know, setup time. Just plug it into it and it seems to give you kind of the amp on stage, amp in the room kind of feel. So that works quite well for me. Again, if you want me to drop this into the folder, leave a comment. It's just $39.99. That's all that is for that one preset. But yeah, I think we got quite a lot of space on that second line still for other effects should you want them. I guess maybe I would go into just stomp mode in general rather than this kind of snap mode if I was going to do that. But let me know how you get on with that. Catch you in another video soon. Cheers.